Let's see if we can do this time. Jenny and the Cat Club by Esther Averill. A collection of favorite stories about Jenny Linsky. Oh, happy are we on our annual spree from an old marching song of the Cat Club. One fine spring day, the little black cat, Jenny Linsky, sat at the open window of her house. Dreamily, she watched her red scarf drying on the clothesline in the garden. I'm glad the housekeeper washed my scarf, thought Jenny. Now it will be fresh and clean for me to wear to the annual spring picnic of the Cat Club.
Sorry, I slipped out my hand.
Now it will be fresh and clean for me to wear to the annual spring picnic of the Cat Club. I hope you know we don't have a maid, right? So we clean up our own messes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we don't have housekeepers.
Mm-hmm.
We are our own housekeepers. Mwah. Careful, Chris.
Yes, Mom.
Did you see why I told you not to touch it?
Yes.
Look! You touched it? No.
Mommy.
Now it will be fresh and clean for me to wear to the annual spring picnic of the Cat Club. But all at once, a rough dog, whom the club had christened Rob the Robber, rushed out of a cellar and grabbed Jenny's scarf. And he ran off with it. It happened so quickly that Jenny didn't have time to think or be scared. All she wanted was to get her scarf away from Rob. So she cut through the garden, climbed over the tall board fence, and ran down the alley into South Street. By sniffing the sidewalk, Jenny followed the trail of the dog and the scarf. She followed the trail as far as the toy and catnip shop, which stood at the corner of the block. Here, Rob's trail turned sharply around the corner into Mulligan Street. I guess he's taken my scarf to the den of the dogs, thought Jenny with a shiver. She crept close to the toy and catnip shop, peered cautiously down Mulligan Street towards the dark cellar, where Rob and his band of dogs had their den. There was not a dog in sight. They're probably all inside pawing at my scarf, thought Jenny. But I'll go into the den and get my scarf, even if they chew me up. Fortunately, at this very moment, two friendly voices called out behind her. Jenny! Jenny Linsky! Wait for us! Jenny turned and saw the twin cats, Romulus and Remus, standing on the curb across the street. Of course she waited for them. And when the traffic light turned from red to green, the patchy-coated twins came bounding over to her. Jenny, what has happened? Cried the twins together. What are you doing out in the street without your scarf? That Rob the Robber stole it, replied Jenny indignantly. And she told them what had happened. The twins said, Well, Jenny, we admire your spirit, but really, you're no match for Rob. Why don't you go home? We'll try to get your scarf and bring it to the Cat Club tonight. The twins pushed Jenny with their speckled noses. She ran home and waited. She waited all that afternoon, waited until the sun dropped in the west, waited until night descended and the cats began to gather beneath the maple tree that stood in the far corner of the captain's garden. When they had formed a circle in front of their president, Jenny crept over to them. Romulus and Remus had saved a place for her between them, and as she squeezed into it, they whispered to her, No luck, no luck. Silence, please, ordered the president. The meeting is about to open. But this is important, Mr. President, the twins objected. It's about Jenny's scarf. It was stolen this morning. Mr. President quickly opened the meeting. Jenny, he said gravely, will you please step forward and tell us what happened? Shyly, the little black cat stepped into the circle in front of Mr. President. Jenny's neck felt cold and bare. Without her red wool scarf tied snugly around it, and all those pairs of cat eyes staring at her through the moonlight frightened her. But she knew she had to speak. She must make the Cat Club understand how important was the scarf she had lost. "Mr. President," said Jenny, "this morning Rob the robber stole the red wool scarf my master Captain Tinker knit for me to wear wherever I go. Captain Tinker has gone off to sea on business. When he comes home, I don't want to have to tell him that I lost my scarf. I'll try my best to get it back." "Thank you, Jenny. You may be seated," said Mr. President. "Romulus and Remus, kindly tell us what you know about this robbery." As Jenny sat down, the twins stepped forward and explained how they had met Jenny and why they had sent her home. "Then we followed Rob's trail to the den of the dogs on Mulligan Street," said the twins. "But Rob was guarding the door. He shouted to us that Jenny's scarf was hanging on a nail in the den, and that 1,000 cats could never get it back because the den would be guarded day and night." "Thank you, Romulus and Remus," said Mr. President. "You may be seated, for I can see that Madame Butterfly wishes to speak." As the twins returned to their seats, the club's most beautiful member, the silvery Madame Butterfly, stepped forward. "This robbery bristles my whiskers," she declared. "At noon, while I was out shopping, I met Romulus and Remus. They told me all about it. Of course, I feel that what happened to Jenny this morning happened because of what happened here last Halloween." "Excuse me, Madame Butterfly," interrupted Sinbad. What happened last Halloween got to do with our annual spring picnic? Tonight the club's supposed to talk about our picnic plans." "Patience, Sinbad," replied Butterfly. "I have a surprise for all of you. Look!" Slowly, Butterfly opened her silvery right front paw. Between two of its velvety pads lay a diamond brighter than a star. Jenny's yellow eyes almost popped out of her head, and cries of "Oh" and "Ah" and "Please may I touch it" went round the club. Butterfly, guarding the diamond, said, "I have removed the jewel from the trimming on my nose flute, and I am giving it to the club to pay for whatever it costs to get back Jenny's scarf. What's left over shall be spent on buying food for our picnic." Sinbad asked, "Do you mean we can't have our picnic until we found Jenny's scarf?" "Exactly so," replied Butterfly. "Last Halloween, Jenny risked her life to bring me my flute, which I had lost. To do this, she had to outsmart Rob and all his dogs. Today Rob got even with Jenny by stealing her scarf. But I intend to help her get it back with this diamond." Mr. President took the diamond happily, and there was not a penny in the treasury. "Mr. President," cried Sinbad, "why not buy Jenny a new scarf instead of waiting to get the old one back? Then we can hold our picnic on Saturday night as we'd planned." The members nodded, and Butterfly said, "Jenny, shall you and I go to the toy cat and catnip shop to buy a little scarf?" "No," thought Jenny to herself. "All the diamonds in the city couldn't buy me anything as nice as my old red scarf. That was the first scarf I ever had." But Sinbad was saying, "I know where we can buy fine fishes for a picnic, cheap." "Oh," said Jenny, "the club does want the picnic. Without the picnic, it won't seem to them like spring at all." She raised her voice. "Thank you, Madame Butterfly. I'll go shopping with you." So Butterfly took back the diamond and arranged to call for Jenny at 10 o'clock next morning. And from breakfast until then, Jenny polished her fur and whiskers for the shopping trip. "Jenny, how nice you look," said Butterfly. "Jenny, how nice you look." And Butterfly said Butterfly when she arrived. "Come, let's start before those dogs get wind of our plans." I forgot to do the voice, didn't I? "Come, let's start before those dogs get wind of our plans." Side by side, the two cats crossed the garden, jumped over the fence, passed into the south street, and dashed to the toy and catnip shop. As they pushed open the door, the owner looked at them with surprise. "My good woman," said Butterfly, "have you a red scarf for my young friend to wear?" The woman did not seem to understand. "Maybe a pink scarf," suggested Butterfly. Again, the owner failed to understand. "Or a little blue scarf?" said Butterfly. Flashing the diamond she carried in her paw. "Oh!" exclaimed the woman. "If you want to buy a toy for her, she might enjoy this duck." And she placed a big toy duck on the floor in front of Jenny. "A duck to play with when I need a scarf," thought Jenny miserably. But to be polite, she gave its tail a push. "Quack!" shrieked the duck. "Quack! Quack!" "Come, Jenny," said Butterfly in disgust. "If this store doesn't understand us, no store will. We might as well go home." That night at the club, Butterfly had to report that the shopping trip had failed. As she returned the diamond to Mr. President, she said, "There's nothing left to do but think of a way to get the old scarf back." Yes, agreed Mr. President. "Let us close our eyes and think." I'm trying to sound pompous. Not sure it's working. Stop. So they all closed their eyes and thought, but no one could think of a plan. When the meeting finally broke up, everyone felt blue. Saturday night was drawing near, and it looked as if there wouldn't be a picnic. As Jenny paused in the window of her house on her way to bed, she murmured, "The club has done everything it can to help. If we're to have the picnic, I must get help from somewhere else. But from whom?" Suddenly she remembered her friend the fire cat Pickles, who worked in the firehouse on South Street. Pickles had once told her, "If you ever need me, let me know." Jenny knew it would be much fun to travel on the streets at night. It wouldn't be much fun to travel on the streets at night without her scarf to bring good luck. Perhaps those dogs would catch her. Never mind, she'd do the best she could. And without thinking of her own safety, she ran to the fence, jumped over it, and sped down South Street towards the firehouse. Fortunately, she reached it safely and found Pickles on duty. "Jenny, what's the matter?" he asked. "Rob the robber stole my scarf," explained Jenny, "and he's hung it in the den of the dogs. The den is guarded so no cats can get in, and one thing has led to another. Now our club can't have its annual spring picnic until we get back my scarf." "I wish I could help you," said Pickles. "Pickles," said Jenny, "you're a friend of the fire dog Buster. He's a good dog, and maybe you could ask him to tell Rob to give me back my scarf."
Hey, he's a dog.
"No. Buster's a very good dog," agreed Pickles, "but he works in a firehouse way uptown. I won't see him until the ball this summer. You run home, Jenny. It's long past your bedtime. I won't forget what you told me. With dogs like those, Mulligan ruffians, anything might happen." It happened the same night, while Jenny was asleep in her basket in her upstairs bedroom next to the street. She had been dreaming that the club was holding the picnic. She was with them, eating delicious fish, when she was awakened by the fire engines roaring along South Street. Sleepily, she thought of Pickles on the front seat of the hook and ladder, riding to put out the fire. How safe she felt because of Pickles. How proud she was to know him. She was drifting back to sleep when she heard psst, psst beneath her window. Jenny ran to the window and peered into the street. On the sidewalk stood Romulus and Remus. "The den of the dogs is on fire!" cried the twins. Those dogs were playing with a box of matches they stole this afternoon. Jiminy Whiskers! Sorry. Jiminy Whiskers, what a fire they started! We're going back to watch the blaze. The twins dashed away and disappeared around the corner of the street. I must go too, thought Jenny. My red scarf is in the den. There's no time to lose. I'll take the shortcut through the garden. Jenny hurried down the stairs that led to the garden window. As her black paws sped from stair to stair, her mind kept saying, my red scarf is in the den, and Pickles has gone over there to fight the fire. Pickles can save my scarf, but he'll be too busy to think of it himself. When I get there, I'll remind him. Jenny leaped through the open window and ran across the garden to the fence. There she gathered her little black legs together and made ready to jump to the top of the fence. But when she tried to jump, her hind leg seemed to stick on the ground. She tried again and again, and her hind legs stuck to the ground. She tried a third time, and for the third time something seemed to hold her back. It's just as if I wasn't meant to go to the fire, she thought. But why shouldn't I go? Suddenly the reason became clear to her as moonlight on the grass. Pickles' duty was to fight the fire and keep it from spreading. I mustn't bother Pickles, Jenny decided. I mustn't ask him to stop his noble work in order to rescue my scarf. I mustn't even go and watch the fire, because if Pickles saw me, he might remember my scarf and try to save it when he shouldn't. Jenny glanced around the garden. It was utterly deserted. We're almost done, dear. I guess all the club has gone to the fire, she thought. And I guess my scarf will soon be burned to ashes. No scarf means no annual spring picnic. Oh, how the club will hate me. Jenny longed to run home, crawl into her basket, and hide her little black face. But that would be cowardly, she concluded. I'll wait here at the fence. I'll wait until someone from the club comes home by the way of the fence and will tell me the news. Maybe Madame Butterfly will come, and I could beg her please not to think about a scarf for me, but to give all the diamond to the picnic. At last Jenny could hear the hook and ladder returning slowly down South Street. The bell of the hook and ladder was ringing. Fire's out! Fire's out! And after a while she heard 4 paws turn into the alley. That's no one from the club, she thought. I know the sound of all their paws. Pit-pat, pit-pat. The sound drew nearer and nearer. It was like the fire bell saying, Fire's out! Fire's out! Jenny heard someone jump and saw a huge spotted yellow paw clutch the top of the fence. Above the paw was a shiny black helmet and a yellow face. Then came the left front paw, clutching something red. Catch! Boomed the fire cat. Jenny reached up and caught the scarf. It hadn't been burned at all. Oh, thank you, Pickles. Thanks 1,000 million times. Was anybody hurt? Nobody hurt, replied Pickles. But the den is flooded with water from the hose. I guess those dogs have learned a lesson. Pickles, said Jenny shyly, with all you had to do, how did you remember my scarf? The fire cat laughed. At first I didn't have time to think of anything but helping the firemen squirt the hose, he said. Then the chief told me to rest. So I stopped and looked at the crowd. All the cat club was there, all but you. What did you think when you didn't see me? Asked Jenny. I thought of your scarf, answered Pickles.
Yay.
Oh, Pickles, I wish I could have helped you rescue it, cried Jenny. You helped me best by staying home, said Pickles. It takes courage for a little cat to wait patiently and unselfishly at home when her best red scarf is in a fire. The fire cat raised his yellow paw, touched his helmet, and saluted Jenny. At the same moment, something moved toward her through the bushes. When she turned, Mr. President was standing on the moonlit grass with all the members of the cat club. Jenny, began Mr. President, our club is proud to see you honored by the fire department for your patience and unselfishness." "Aye, aye," sang the members. "We of the Cat Club also wish to honor you," said Mr. President. "We wish to honor you for this reason. Although you're small and shy, you always do the best you can." Jenny's heart felt warm and happy. "Jenny," continued Mr. President, "our club shall hold its annual spring picnic on Saturday night in Washington Park, 3 blocks north of our garden. You, Jenny Linsky, shall wear your red
Scarf.
You, Jenny Linsky, wearing your red scarf, shall lead us as we march through the Arch of Victory that guards the entrance into the picnic grounds."
Hey, there's Jenny Linsky, the leader.
Mm-hmm.
Fish.
Let's do
Jenny
that.
is after
No,
brothers.
that's next time.
Yeah, that's next time.
Let's see. What are they doing there?
They're sitting.
Do you see the fire cat?
Yes, it's over there. Yeah.
Who else can you see? Who's that?
Butterfly.
Yes. And who's that?